This is the next generation language access, and basically this program is made for the bilingual and multilingual students at DPS. And what we do really, they would receive a very high quality of interpreting services. I mean, they're gonna learn how to become certified interpreters. Most of these students, they are bilingual, as I said, multilingual, and they are already helping their family members when they go to the hospitals, when they have any other needs, in the community. But right now they are becoming professional in doing so, and they can make money, they can start their own business. I think our goal as educators and as a district is to really use the assets that we have in our hands, and right now it's our ELL students with the multiple languages and cultures that they can, just contribute to the community.
I took the same program training before them. So this program have many benefits. So among them, we can tell they can work as contract interpreters for any agency, and that they can also work for DPS. Because there are few interpreters out there on the field, and our students speak many languages, they know the culture, they have been with DPS, so they can help us in the community as outreach person for the district. I am called to many schools, and I cannot do it by myself. Basically, I was pushing this to have students to do the things I do, so they can be able, we're gonna rely on them in the coming days and coming months. I just wanna tell how wonderful, how excited I am, because I worked as an interpreter in the community. I know the need.
We are now, the Innovative Academies of the Dayton Public Schools are in phase 3 of the Ford Next Generation Learning Academy program. And what that means is we are actually meeting with 8 tactic teams that are writing the master plan. And so that was so important and so valuable that we now can take it back and actually implement it to make sure our students are prepared for college and careers and can really support this workforce.
We are equipping our students with the necessary tools that they need to be successful. It's not just about the data that goes on in high school. We're talking about reaching our kids outside of 4 walls to obtain a career for themselves later down the road, okay?
I feel like it was really good to be in this room. I got to meet people that I ain't never been in a room with before, different principals, people behind the scenes that I don't even know about, and really get to see what goes on outside of just what I see inside my classroom.
I think overall it was good to collaborate, bring us all together. We got industry partners here. You have teachers, you have directors, our chiefs, principals are all coming together, and we're all sharing our different experiences and expertise along with our students, giving our students a voice to be able to share and speak on their experiences and the things that they want, because it's not just about what we see, but I also want to see it through their lens as well, because sometimes we get so far disconnected, from being a student. And I think that's huge, to have all parties all on deck to collaborate. So this was awesome.
Well, I first would like to thank the hundreds, literally hundreds of partners that have come now to over 10 meetings with us to put all of this together. And from the bottom of our hearts, we thank them. For any community partners that haven't been engaged, we would like you contact us. We have job shadowing, mentorships, internships, all types of things that they can provide. All of that helps. But the biggest thing is, when you hear about the Innovative Academies of the Dayton Public Schools, be sure to spread the good news that there's plenty of about what it means to support a district that's on the move and making transformations that not only helps our kids, it's helping the entire region.
I'm a part of Shared Governance, and we are talking about a steering committee. We're talking about how to put people into successful roles and how we can all communicate through different teams so that we're all on the same page for the actual goal. It feels good. It feels really, really good, honestly. And it only feels good because at the beginning I was confused, didn't know why I was here, just know my life coach brought me. Now it's like, I know exactly why I'm here. I know what we want the end goal to be, and I'm really happy to see that what I'm saying, in my opinion, my comments are building into that final presentation. I'm really excited to see how it'll all come out, honestly. Like, being here in the process is totally different than seeing the final outcome and not knowing the conversations we had, the different meetings, any of that. So I'm really excited to see how the work will actually come out and turn out.
My group is working on establishing a framework for partners. Work on how do we create a database of all of the partners at all the schools in the district so we can create some standard operating procedures on how partners interact with the district and with various schools, who are the contact points at those partners, what areas or what buckets do they interact with. Is it an attendance situation? Is it an academic situation? Is it college and career readiness? The way we're approaching it at Ruskin, the way we're approaching the Innovative Academies of Dayton Public Schools work is through two paths. We have an experiential path. We are getting kids out into the world, and we are bringing experts into Ruskin to try to raise kids' awareness of what is out in the world, what careers are out there when they graduate and when they're adults. The other path is the academic path. It's one thing to try to create a high school classes that will help kids once they graduate. It's another thing to be able to prepare kids for those classes. That starts with us. That starts with us making sure that our academic program at the elementary level is tight, that we are making sure that kids are meeting benchmarks and are able to work at grade level so they are successful in middle school and in high school.
Okay, I'll call to order the March 18th business meeting, and I will ask the treasurer to call the roll.
President Bailey,
Is excused,
Dr. Goodwin,
is on her way,
Mr. Lacy,
here.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Present.
Mr. Walker,
Here.
Ms. Garrison,
Present.
Ms. Woods,
Present.
Can we stand for the Pledge of
6
Allegiance?
present.
5 present.
Ms. Woods, could you read for us the mission?
Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower. Our vision is to inspire, educate, and empower scholars for a lasting impact. And our purpose is to cultivate a supportive and engaging educational experience.
Nuestra misión es inspirar, educar y empoderar. Nuestra visión es inspirar, educar y empoderar a los estudiantes para lograr un impacto duradero. Nuestro propósito es cultivar una experiencia educativa de apoyo y estimulante.
Muy bien.
Mr. Superintendent, do we have any district events that we'd like to highlight?
We do, Mr. Lacy. Thank you so much. The district reconfiguration community meeting will be on the 23rd, Monday, 6 o'clock at Ponance. Thank you for all the families, citizens, and even students who have sent responses to PIO questions in advance and ahead of time. But we will be there with transportation and student enrollment to answer questions and go back and do a review of the presentation to discuss the district reconfiguration. So we're looking forward to seeing families Monday, again at 6 o'clock p.m. at David H. Ponance.
Thank you. And do we have any special presentations
We
today?
do. We're on a augmented intelligence or artificial intelligence theme this month. So last month we had Sinclair in our partnership with Dayton Public Schools here, Dr. Prokes and Dr. Curtis Miller. So today we are bringing up the CEO and founder of Haysi, Shaili Baranwal, and the Vice President of Partnerships, Lizette Molina Powell, and they're going to come up and talk about their work with us with Haysi that we're piloting right now. So come on up, ladies.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lawrence, to the board, and to everyone here at Dayton Public Schools. Thank you so much for having us here. What I'm going to share today, I'm actually going to give you a little bit about my background, and then I'm going to share why we built Haysi. A little bit about my background. As you can see, I have an accent, so I am from India. My background is I was a forced industrial engineer. I was forced to be an industrial engineer. My heart was in teaching. I got a teaching degree after that, and then I got my master's at the University of Michigan. When I come to Ohio, I say, please don't hate me for that. And then I have built several companies in the K-12 space, servicing the school districts, always with the mindset of you cannot bring a solution to the school district just because you have a solution. No matter what you build, it has to solve for a chronic problem. So a year back, I went to the journey of what is a big problem at the school district right now. How do I change the slide?
Yep.
That is not a
Change
problem.
it.
That is not a problem. Okay. So when I started thinking about the problem, constantly after talking to several superintendents and teachers, what I learned was that training and support was likely stuck in 1995. In today's day and age, when we all consume content on TikTok, on Instagram, on different sources, when was the last time we all actually sat in a workshop for an hour and learned anything, right? The whole concept of doing workshops, it's sit, listen, and forget, which is one workshop, and then the employees have to remember everything, go and find the documents, get the source, or call someone, their principal, their district leaders, and get the answer. So when we started thinking about, is there a better way to solve for that so all employees in a district feel supported all the time? And we said, how great will it be if we think about that every employee has a mentor, someone that they can go to no matter what question they have about HR, about lessons, about procedures, about having a conversation. But having a human mentor is very expensive in this age of budget cuts, and that's when AI started slowly and steadily progressing. And with the mindset, we created the country's first AI mentor specifically for district employees. It is, you can go to the next slide, thank you. It can be used by teachers, by principals, by district leaders, by support staff. In some of our Illinois school districts, the board members are on the platform because sometimes even the board members may not have answers to what is the district policy for this thing? What am I supposed to do? What is our PBI's policy? The beauty about the AI mentor is it does not touch the students at all. The students are not on the platform. It has got nothing to do with it. It's only and primarily to support the district employees. Now, the other thing about this is, and I'll explain that to you. So the way HACI works, this is actually an AI mentor. It looks like a human, but it's an AI mentor. She is Dayton Public Schools AI mentor for every employee. Now, what does that mean? She is completely integrated to the district's documents, policies, systems, every single folder. Every employee, when they go to HACI, is only getting answers from Dayton's document. The AI is not going to ChatGPT or any generic AI. It's not going outside of Dayton Public Schools, and any data or information from outside of Dayton Public Schools is not coming to HACI. It's completely trained and secure. A big question that I get always is, oh, our employees are using it. It might be training other AI, or those AIs are talking to each other. Nothing with HACI. For me, the security of your data, of your employees, the privacy was very important. The other thing is, when your employees come to HACI and ask for guidance, no one will know who that person was. You'll know user 101, but you don't know who user 101 was. Unless there is a threatening question asked, which very rightly so, the district leaders need to know. That's what in the AI world is called guardrails. AI is like .com. When we were all in college, when we were all in school, it was a big deal, but we all shop on Amazon.com now. This is the early stage of AI. Our job is that we make sure that it solves for a problem, and we make sure that it meets all the requirements of security, and as much as possible, I want it to be just supportive for employees. So what does HACI do? And we'll go to the next one. Okay, like I said, it can be integrated to SharePoint, OneDrive, Google Drive, Board Docs, website, Canvas, anything that you want it to, and it only pulls the information from that. This is very powerful. We are the only tool in the country today that is built for school districts that is doing that with the mindset of security, privacy, and support. Okay, let's go. Okay, so let's say we take, can you just click this as an anime? Thank you. We take a basic platform of HACI. On that, we load Dayton's document, Dayton's policy, Dayton's system, Dayton's tone, Dayton's frameworks, and much more to make this Dayton's AI mentor for all employees, okay? Dayton's AI mentor is going to feel, talk very differently from Cincinnati's AI mentor, because the more your employees use it, the more it becomes ingrained into who you are, okay? Let's go. Okay, so there are 3 things that HACI does, and I'm going to explain that to you. I wish I could show you the actual demo, but maybe not today. I'm happy to come back at some point of time. The first thing in the center is Ask HACI. We have now the districts that we are in 6 states right now. The districts that are using HACI today, they have campaigns going around in the districts. Did you ask HACI first? Let's say you guys have a question. You first go and ask HACI, what is the district policy on so and so? And I'll show you what HACI does. You can ask HR questions, compliance questions, instruction questions, academics. Even if your teachers are asking, how do I make this lesson plan? It'll go and touch Amplify and give them the answer only based on your curriculum. So you feel confident that all the investments that you've made, it's actually adding true value. So that is Ask HACI. And we have some data on what your employees at Dayton Public School are asking. And I'm going to show it to you because they've been using it for a few weeks. Role play. This is the newest part about AI. It sounds confusing, but I'll explain it to you when we get to it. This is where every single employee has an opportunity to practice a conversation with AI. Because AI, let's say I'm a principal, I need to give feedback to a teacher. I go to Hasey and say, I need to give feedback. Hasey becomes that teacher, and the principal can practice giving feedback, and they get feedback. Okay? Let's say I came to this presentation and I was like, okay, I'm talking to the board. I practiced it with Hasey. Hasey gave me feedback. This is going to be a great use of AI going forward. Teachers can practice it to teach a concept to the class before they actually come to the class. So it clearly supports teachers to be more efficient. Efficient teachers build stronger students and stronger schools. The last thing is tool assist. We heard from districts, we buy all these tools. On an average, every district has 42 tools. They buy all these tools. No one is using it. And we wanted to solve for that. When an employee of the district comes and says, hey, I need to put some grades. How do I put grades based on the district policy? Not only will Hasey give an answer, Hasey will also say, this is Skyward. If you're using Skyward, click to go there. So now easily, every single employee will start using the tools where you very rightly so have invested in. So Hasey becomes the central training, development, support system for all your employees, and everything gets linked to it. Why AI? Because it's specific to your district and it makes it very affordable and scalable. So let's move through it very quickly now. This is what Ask Hasey is. Employees come ask a question. Immediately the question in full security goes to all the Dayton systems, will scan all the documents and give one answer, which is called RAG model, and it shows what documents it's pulling it from. It doesn't go outside at all. So that's very, very unique to that. And they get an answer. And if you see there, it shows the sources that it's coming from. Okay, next one. Okay. This is actual data from Dayton Public Schools. So we launched with 4 or 5 of your schools about just few weeks back. Just in few weeks, we have learned so much about what is the top of mind questions and guidance that your employees need. So these are the schools where we see the highest usage, of course, with Meadowdale Career Tech Center being the highest. If it's lower on the other schools, that doesn't mean that your usage is lower. It just means they just got started. So some of the schools are launching next week. So slowly and steadily, you'll see. And then you also get, next slide, you also get details on what kinds of questions they're asking. The number one top tracks of themes of questions coming from your employees that they need guidance is district procedures. I can bet if I ask a district procedure question today, many of you may not know the answer and you don't know where to go. Gone are those days. That's the power of AI. You just ask Hasey and Hasey will scan all the Dayton documents and tell you the answer. The second most common questions is lessons. Let's say if a teacher is making a lesson plan. The teacher can tell Hasey, I want to make a 15-minute lesson plan for grade 6 science based on my district policies and curriculum, how I'll do it. It will only make it based on what Dayton wants it to do. So that's pretty powerful. Next slide. Now, these are the top questions asked by your employees in the last 3 to 4 weeks. If Hasey wasn't there, these questions would likely have gone unanswered. Who is my direct supervisor and superior? I have no idea why that's the top question. I honestly don't. I don't.
I'm sorry.
Okay. How do I balance being respected and approachable? That's a unique question. And this is in sequence of themes of most common questions. What is the difference between EL, ELL, ESL? That's a pretty logical question. Is there a curriculum that I'm expected to follow? Bingo. The moment they ask that, my Hasey already knows, okay, this is a grade 6 math teacher, and they will assume that and say, this is the grade 6 math curriculum, click on it, and they go there right away. How do I read an IEP? You'll be shocked how many employees ask that question. How do I know my students are engaged? How can I best advocate for myself? What is our PBIS policy? In a few weeks back, when there was a lot of snow in Texas, we saw Texas employees asking questions in our district, what do I do if there's a snow day? They don't know that. And guess what? There was no district policy on it. So we can also identify when the employees are asking a question and it's coming out blank, and the district can have data on, we need more professional learning content on that, okay? So just a little groundwork there. Let's move on to the next one. This is the role play. Role play is going to be one of the most dominant feature of AI going forward. You pick who you want to talk to, you create the scenario. Let's say a teacher says, I want to have a difficult conversation with a parent. Parent says, I don't like the grades you gave my child. Very common for a parent to feel like that. You go and you put that prompt on Hasey. Hasey becomes the parent, and you practice like you're having a real conversation. We've also simulated a classroom where a teacher can do that to a classroom. You can also practice how to talk to your husband or wife. There is no limitation to that. So we are seeing people use it for different scenarios. Next. This is, the help me talk to my husband is probably just one person who did that. But these are the common role plays that we are seeing in your district. Practice a tough parent conversation, give performance feedback to a teacher used by some principals, help me practice a teach concept, and then, of course, that was just one, so I just thought that was funny. Okay, this is the tool assist. Gone are the days where you have to worry that I bought a tool and no one is using it. The teacher can say, when are the grades due? Hasey will say, based on the district calendar, when the grades are due, and will also say, let's say if you have Skyward, click here and go to Skyward. Okay, so easy. So it all stays within your system. Next. Now, guess what? Dayton Public Schools, being such an innovative school district, is not only the first one to use Hasey and bring an AI mentor for every employee in Ohio, but also the first one in Council of Great City School Districts. I was aware that this is a very innovative school district. Dr. Lawrence is very innovative. So when we decided that we want to partner with only 6 to 7 school districts to start with, we thought this would be a good opportunity for us to not only do this, but also get feedback, because feedback helps us improve. So this is a little brief about what Hasey is and what it can do for your district employees and leaders.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Ms.
absolutely.
Barnwell. Do we have any questions from the board?
Sure.
Mr. Walker.
So if this is, I guess this is for the team, how many AI tools do we have as a district? And what, I guess, we heard one last week that was different. We have this one now, and there's at least 5 or 6 other ones out there. Plus, we have ChatGPT and Gemini. So what is actually, I guess I'm just trying to figure out the rationale for.
Can I give an answer to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So when you think about ChatGPT and Gemini, what is ChatGPT? It's completely open. It gets the answers from the web. If any teacher uploads a secure student document on ChatGPT, that's not, the data is going outside in the web, right? So that is, ChatGPT is when I want to know something, I'll just go on the web, I'll ask something personal. So when it comes to regulated systems and privacy, it's not private. Gemini. If you have Google Classroom, maybe Gemini can be private, but here's the thing. If you want Gemini to analyze a document for you, you have to go find the document, load it on Gemini and say, Gemini, can you please analyze it for me? In case of Hasey, it's automatically linked to all your system. So you don't have to go find a document. So it's used for very different purposes. And Gemini, you have to still go find, and it's only for analysis. This is for support.
So for this one, is it only linking information from Dayton Public Schools, or is it linking as well? I think you just started working with Lancaster in
No,
Texas
it's
as well?
only linking to Dayton Public Schools.
Okay.
Every school district's data and content is only that school district's.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Like I said, Dayton's is not even going to link to other Ohio school district. It is Dayton's secure mentor.
I have a question. My question was like, what's the crash plan? Because AI messes up occasionally. Sometimes it's not as fast as we may want it to be or how we think. So how can we trust that our business, as a student speaking, our business won't go out into the real world like ChatGPT, because at the end it's still AI. So what is the crash plan?
Can you explain that question? Like crash plan since AI will crash, or?
Like, let's say a teacher tries to upload a child's information onto the Hey C,
Yeah.
and it crashes, like it just goes blank. What are they supposed to do at that point? And what can happen to, what are we supposed to do from a student's perspective, because we don't know where our business is now. We don't know where our personal information has gone.
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. There's something in the AI world called isolated tenant, okay? What an isolated tenant mean, and I've worked with students and, built for K-12 school districts before. We have built it on the most secure isolated platform. Isolated tenant means when data, your employee, when they put a data, let's say student information on Hasey in Dayton, it's staying in Dayton. Okay, it's not going outside at all. So it's staying within Dayton Public Schools model, and it's only training Dayton Public Schools. When it comes to crash, if that means that it didn't do anything, if that's what you mean by crash, then you just refresh the page and it comes back up. Here's the second thing. We are not relying on any one model. All the models are US-based. That is very important, very important. They're US-based and they are multi-model, that's what it's called. But again, it is the most secure platform in the country right now. I check the security every week, because if it's not secure, like that's not even an option anymore in the AI world. Anybody who has it open, working with school districts, that is actually not correct. Yeah.
But just to, if I
Yeah.
may clarify,
Yeah.
I mean, if her information as a student is put into this, not anyone in the district
Yep.
can ask KC, like, what's Ms. Woods up to?
Yeah, no, because they wouldn't even, I don't know that Ms. Woods asked that question. So when I was building this, I wanted to make sure, again, this is a support tool, right?
Right.
If I asked a question, I'm a teacher, I don't like my principal, no one can know that, right? It's a private question. I really wanted them to trust Hasey, and as a former teacher, I wanted employees to feel supported, because supported employees don't quit. You retain employees because they feel that they are supported. You will never know unless it's a threat question. So that in the AI world is called guardrails, and we can put these guardrails in collaboration with the district. Like we do some work in Florida, there the guardrails may be different from what it is in Ohio. So we will follow your guardrails, and that hits a trigger to go to someone in HR that, hey, you need to look into this. So we can also protect you from that. No one will know that I, as a teacher, said, I don't like my principal, what do I do?
Okay, thank
And that's the privacy part of it, which is very important.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
welcome.
Dr. Goodwine.
Thank you. Okay, on one of the, thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely.
Even though I came in late, but I got the gist of it. So we've only launched, is it 4 weeks, or when did we actually launch?
We actually started it around, I would say, September, October, but the connection to the data system usually takes some time. So we spent that time, we got the schools onboarded. AI is new for, like, this is purely for employees, right? It's not students, it's not just teachers. So getting the employees onboarded, and yes, it has been about 3 to 4 weeks, and we are working with the schools and principals lockstep. But yes, that is accurate.
Okay, because our contract, I mean, I see this is on our August 19th, 2025 contract, which was a year contract from September 25 to August 26. And since there, based on what you said, it took you guys from September to October to get it launched from here. So that means by February, based on what you said a month ago, we've only been utilizing from it being connected to our servers or whatever that piece is. So we've only had a month of usage.
So the way AI usage works is when you try to integrate it, while you're integrating, you're also using. But when I think about launch, I think about actually adding it to the schools. But that doesn't mean that the usage wasn't happening, because you have to train the models starting September, October to speak your district's content knowledge. Does that make sense?
It does. It just
Okay.
leads me to more questions, not
Yeah.
necessarily for you, but
Yeah.
it's for the team. Who on our team is actually the user that works with this product? Dr. Lawrence or Dr. Jones or whomever is the holder of this project?
From a technical standpoint, from the district, we share it. So James has been instrumental. Dr. Curtis Miller has been instrumental. Zakia has been a project manager. Shiley gave the presentation today for Ms. Minor. It's been in Dr. Sheehy's shop. We all have bits and pieces of it.
Okay. With what we approved was for coaching services for professional development to teachers, but what I see today is significantly more than what that is. Can you just tell me a little bit how we deviated from what was on what we approved to what's happening today?
When you say significantly more than teachers.
It's more than, well, you also, I'm asking, so is this for just teachers or is this district-wide? Let's start there.
This is for teachers of the primary. Hayseed would start out with teachers of the primary, but we do have principals who are championing and using it in several buildings.
Do we have any actual feedback from teachers who actually use this?
Yes.
We do, and we spoke to one principal this morning from Kemp, Miss Amy Ernst.
Amy Ernst.
Yeah, that was her name. And when we spoke to her, we wanted a very honest feedback on what do you think about Hayseed, and if you may, I can share what she
Please
said.
proceed.
So her first answer was, my teachers love it. She said they love the fact, firstly, they love the role play fact because now they can practice having a conversation and talking. And then the second thing she said was they love that it's fully aligned to district. So when they're getting an answer, they're not nervous that it is something that my district doesn't want me to learn or want me to do. Everybody's scared about student information. This is not linked to the students at all, and it's also very secure. She said that once it aligns to Amplify and we are loading, we're still connecting. It takes time to tune the models in AI. That's why the first year is all about learning. She said that will be groundbreaking for her teachers to then completely get the integration of instruction with it. So that's the feedback that we have, but I would highly encourage to talk to some other schools and teachers as well. And you will get some feedback, and I would love that feedback as well, because we constantly improve when we get feedback, good and bad.
Can we actually get numbers on the feedback? Like I love hearing a specific story, but
Yep.
ratio-wise, I'm interested in how many actual teachers are utilizing this
Yeah.
project versus those that aren't. Now we're talking administrators, so how many administrators
Yeah.
are utilizing this project versus aren't utilizing it?
Mm-hmm.
I also wonder too, is it not someone's or several people's jobs here to do exactly what this product is doing? Dr. Lawrence.
We do have an entire curriculum department that teachers can reach out to. This is just another one of those tools in their toolbox to be able to ask questions about Savas, Teachtown, Frog Street, Amplify, or some of the Carnegie work we're doing. So we can answer any of those questions from a teacher standpoint. And then leaders have questions that they ask too around curriculum instruction assessment, data analysis, portfolio analysis. So it's another tool for you to be able to be curious and understand the work that we're doing at a deeper visceral level.
Can I answer that
Absolutely.
question? So what we have seen is a big part about an AI mentor is like an expert in your pocket. It's 10 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday. I'm a teacher. I'm working on something. I should not be working, but let's say I'm preparing for something. I have a question. I don't know where to go. Who do I contact? So I wait until it's Monday and I ask the question, but maybe by that time, my problem has already come and gone. This is the power that an AI mentor gives you. They are constantly available 24/7. So yes, a human can answer that question and it's not going to take away. But in the moment when I have the question, in today's day and age, all of our questions about everything, shopping, we are driving and we are buying things on Amazon. This is just the next phase of technology where we are now giving support to our employees that deserve it a lot. So it's more about in the moment support rather than can somebody else answer it. So it's about the speed to get the support in the fastest way.
My question is surrounding interpersonal communication, like even talking to a bot right now, we already, like public speaking is the #1 fear of our society at this point.
Yeah.
How is this helping you push forward of you actually having a conversation with a human when you are literally talking to a bot? Like what data do you guys have that next step is going beyond just a conversation of
absolutely.
With myself?
So as the generation is going younger and younger, and as the new generation is coming in, I'm not stopping that, right? It's just people are born and people consume content differently. When I was born, my first phone I got in my hand when I was like probably 18 or 19, it was so big. Today, the kids are born and they have an iPad in their hand. So my belief is AI is never, ever going to replace a human. I think by the time that happens, I think I'll be gone by then. But as the world is progressing, AI actually helps you improve. So this basically, in those moments when I cannot get a human to practice, and unfortunately, our kids are so active socially that they, as it is, don't get any support. They're consumed with the social pressure. In those moments, for adults, this becomes a tool that provides them some sort of support. Let's say I'm someone who has extreme fear of going and talking to someone. At that time, I can at least practice with this, with AI, before going and having the actual conversation. And there may be some people who may not enjoy that at all, and that's totally fine. But for the ones who find value, that's when it really starts adding a ton of value, because it's also very scalable in that way.
Okay, so no actual data?
Data
I'm
around...
asking about the data. I appreciate the narrative.
Yeah.
It's great and all that. Actual data of individuals who use this and actually can move forward. I'm not saying it has to
Yeah.
be here. You said there were 6 places
Yeah.
that you guys are utilizing.
Yeah.
Do you have any of those type of things that show?
So role play, if you're specifically talking about role plays?
Yes.
Yeah. Role plays is something that we as a company just launched 3 weeks back. It's a very latest thing on AI. We are probably one of 2 companies in the country that has created it. So will I have data in a few months? 100%. I'll be happy to come back and show it to you. But it's still being developed on how is this helping with communication, with practicing for a presentation, with having a difficult conversation. And once the data comes in, I'll be happy to share with you.
All right, thank you. And just my final thought on it.
Absolutely.
More so for the team than it is for you on that one. I do have concerns about how this is removing individuals' ability to think and know how to do skill sets. And it's not just this product, it's AI in general here. I mean, I think on our website, you guys told us we had a chat box that does half the stuff that I saw on here about people looking for policies and things like that. But that basic skill set of knowing how to go to the board docs, it's a simple search to do that. That my fear for not just the products that we're utilizing today is that we are erasing from our workforce the same way we are doing some things with our students, critical thinking. Because if I never have to do it and I never had to learn it, then I actually don't know it if the tool isn't there. So thank you for the presentation.
Absolutely.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate that. This is more so for Dr. Lawrence. In your idea of using this tool and others like it, what do you think is your feedback loop? Whereas then secondly, we can create the human touch on some of these things. For instance, if we see that we have a plethora of questions around a certain subject, or if a lot of things are coming in from a certain building, what does that look like on circling back to say, is this in something, the training that we did? Is this a PD that needs to be held with this building? What for you, how do you plan on using these kind of tools to strengthen the human interaction with our staff?
Thank you for the question, Mrs. Smith. When I saw the 15 questions from the very initial 2 or 3 weeks that we've been piloting, in the phases that we rolled it out, and then I called the principals, I immediately thought that every Monday morning at 8:30, there's 8 of us, and there are 7, the core academic team, and we could bring those questions there and begin to talk about that feedback loop and what are actionable steps to address some of the questions that we saw. That's what we do every Monday, how do we fix these things, or how do we solve problems? I also saw that it's also a list for cabinet as well, which is every Tuesday at 8:30, because this is cross-functional. And my ultimate vision is for all 2,300 employees to be able to use it to get better, to become more efficient. How we use it there to solve district-wide problems. I think there are some things, for instance, around human resources that should be automated, that we should no longer be manually doing. I think there's some things that artificial intelligence can bring from a processing standpoint, thematic standpoint, even principals being able to say, hey, here's the data of my building. Here's some things that we do in my particular building. Here's some of the testimonies of my particular school in terms of people. And hey, what does this mean for how we recruit and how we move forward? So ultimately, I'd like to see those type of things happen.
Yeah, I definitely, on your second point, I agree on the fact that we do need to look at what are some of the things that can be automated. And I think, inversely for me, I think there are a lot of things that you cannot move away from the human interaction that is needed. Like, you know, if I'm a teacher and I'm a brand new teacher in a brand new urban district, I don't think anything is more valuable than having a seasoned teacher being able to tell me this is what it looks like on a Monday morning for students who have had a rough weekend and come from, you know, an impoverished background where we have a plethora of barriers that we have, like that classroom management, those kind of things. Like, I just think even if we were to practice with AI, if a teacher was able to put in, hey, you know, how do I handle this situation? I don't see where we get away from needing that piece.
I hope we're not saying, or you're not processing this as this is binary. It's either or.
Oh, no, I'm saying.
Yeah. Because we've not gotten away from teacher, mentor.
Right.
That's something we have to do by law.
And I think not even the stuff we have to do by law, the things that we should do by practice because it's just best practice. I think listening to people in our buildings. So I'm not saying that we get rid of it, that it's an either or that we even are planning to get rid of it. I just want to stress the importance of that and lifting our staff up. And finding ways that we tap into that, especially if we have an ability to get data at a quicker rate. I think not only just kicking these things to cabinet, but even looking in the buildings and saying, hey, you guys have a lot of young teachers that are asking this, or, you know, we have a lot of people that are looking up this policy. Like, there's so many pieces where I think if you're going to use AI, we have to be mindful of the integration of how we use it in the day-to-day relationships as well. That's all. So I don't think we're moving anything or getting away from anything, just wanting to lift that.
Gotcha.
Appreciate it.
No
That's
problem,
all, Mr. Lacey.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Reinhardt?
Thank you, Vice President Lacey. Thank you for this presentation. I appreciate it. Oh, actually, did we let the record show that Dr. Goodwine is at the meeting?
We did not let the record show that Dr. Goodwine did enter the meeting about 10 minutes ago, probably.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did notice. It's been a while. All right, wonderful. I have two questions.
Yes.
I share a lot of the same concerns about AI as a lot of other people. The first question I have is about data accuracy. And even though it is in a closed system with all of DPSs, have we done the testing? So if you do a Google search for something, and I know this is not the same as a Google search or ChatGPT, the AI overview, which I never go by, but you know, you can't help but see it, is very, very often incorrect. And my concern is that a teacher will ask a question about a very specific piece of data or number or information, and it could find conflicting answers and give an inaccurate answer. Has there been any testing to look at that and correct for it? Tell me about that, please.
So the way AI works is, that's called fine-tuning, okay? So AI, when you are using a large model like ChatGPT, they don't have fine-tuners. Like, they don't have tuners who are sitting and seeing whether the answers are correct or not. How did AI get built? AI started building 15 years back in Silicon Valley. They started building it, it got better and better and better, and then we started hearing about it a year back. With that power, what we can do today is, let's say someone asks a question. It's called a RAG model. It'll scan all the documents, it'll give an answer. It's really improved a lot over the years, and when it is not hitting 5 million documents from the world and is limited to Dayton, the accuracy becomes better. So that's number one, right? Because it's only sitting inside your system. Let's say if a teacher asked today, what is the policy of how I should be teaching? If they are sitting in Ohio, it's going to scan all the state's policy and give you an answer. So that's the data inaccuracy. When it's sitting inside Dayton, the accuracy power goes up. So that's number one. Number two is, we've also built system inside. Let's say if someone got an answer and they know it's not correct, and that can happen. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate. We are asking and training the employees to give a thumbs up, thumbs down. So when they give a thumbs up, AI learns this is getting better. When they give a thumbs down, we have human reviewers that go every day and see why there's a thumbs down, and then we go back to the model and improve it. So we're also improving the accuracy, but so the two answers are, because it's limited and confined, the accuracy goes up, and second, because they're giving us feedback, the accuracy improves. That's why, to her question, like, why did it take us so long? Because we were fixing those models before we brought it in front of the employees.
Okay, thank you.
Second question.
My second question is about privacy, and we've already touched a little bit on student privacy as in regards to FERPA guidelines. My question is, so one of the slides in your presentation has the question distribution by themes.
Yeah.
And you also had in the previous slide question support asked and given by Hasty per school.
Yeah.
Are the questions at all tied at any point to a specific employee? Because I want to make sure that our employees know if they're asking a question that's a little bit more sensitive, that they don't have to worry about, because they are tied to schools. I can see that there is some data that's being connected there and that Hasty can pull and give reports on. Is it completely 100% private? And
100%. I will sign any document to prove. That was very important. When I first started building this, I remember there was a superintendent I was talking to from Georgia, and he said, Shelley, if you want this to be truly valuable to the employees, and as a superintendent, I'm saying, I want my employees to feel supported, because we are constantly asking them to do better and better and better by giving them all of these things, build something that's supported. So like I said, 100% private unless they ask something threatening. And that's called a guardrail, because that's also important, right? If someone says something that's a threat to the district, that also has to come up, and then that goes to HR. So that's something that we work with the district and say, what are the 10 things, like any of your security tools, if you're using GoGuardian or Gaggle or any of that, if someone is talking about something that's a guardrail, that triggers. Otherwise, completely secure and private. And that's important. Like, even if you as a board member ask something, no one will know that you asked that question.
okay, so you can't even see that an employee asked a question.
You will know that someone who, so you get cohort level analytics, right? So because to his question, it's great that they're asking these questions, but then what are we doing with the answers and data that we are gathering? It's a great question. It helps you improve, like Dr. Lawrence said, so many teachers in this particular school, most of the employees are asking questions about how to make lessons. Great, that means they need more help in lessons. And that's when the human goes and gives the lesson. The AI will never replace a human. In fact, frontline jobs, according to AI, will never be replaced by AI. AI only supports them to do better. So your humans who are actually taking care, like your AI, like your teacher mentors who are taking care of your teachers, their time is relieved from answering the basic questions, and they can genuinely help those teachers and employees. AI will never do that. It's not built for that. But it's extremely private, yes.
Okay, so one more time, because I want to make sure that I'm asking the right question and getting the answer that I'm looking for. At any point, can you see that an employee asked a question? If it's not flagging any security concerns?
Zero.
Okay.
No one in the district, no one from my team can see it. I can only see user 101. The district only sees analytics. Oh, like I showed you, most of the themes of questions are these. Most of your new teachers have questions on what do I do, how do I apply for a sick day? If I'm applying for a sick day, how many days are my paid leave? Then you know what questions are coming in. That means somewhere in the workshop training it was missed. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. That is very important.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Mr. Walker.
Okay, so two questions.
Yes.
Kemp is looks like percentage-wise, the school that is using it the least. I'm just curious, so why not data from Meadowdale or Welcome or even administration building?
So you're saying why the data from some schools is lesser usage than the others?
No, I was asking what was the rationale for speaking with Kemp when they're the lowest one that uses it compared to Meadowdale that has 190 count?
I think it was just...
it was just random. We were eating lunch and like, let's call Amy.
It was just random. But I would, again, these are schools and principals, we can talk to anyone.
Okay, and then my next question is, for it to be a top question that's asked, or top guidance asked for, how many times does it have to be asked?
It doesn't matter because we're just doing, like, let's say it is a fraction of the total. So it's a percentage of the total types of questions we have to ask, right? So it's just speculative. So if I take all of those questions and divide it by 100, that's the percentage. So the number one theme of questions asked by Dayton Public School employees is, who's my direct supervisor? I have no idea why.
I was just curious on what that percentage is.
I can get it to you. I
Appreciate
can
it.
absolutely get it to you, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Ms. Garrison.
Thank you again for the presentation. A statement and a question, I guess, but the first one could be a question as well. Would it be accurate to say that the data that is being tied to this, this is only going to be as good as the data that's in it? So, for example, if I'm looking for the policy on tuition reimbursement and we don't have one, then it's not gonna be able to give me an answer,
Yes,
right?
but here's the thing. You will get data also on these questions were asked and you didn't have an answer.
Okay.
So then your professional learning team can go back and say, oh, our employees are asking these questions, but we don't have those documents, and you can load it.
And
So-
that's where I was getting to with that
Yeah,
particular
because-
question.
So this will also help improve your knowledge base of what is that. I'm not making this up. One district we were working with, they had a document from 1995 that was still in the folder. So and no one knows that. So this also helps you clean up a little bit that, oh, you have 6 documents of the same policy, and across the last decade, they have all been different. So the answer is all over. So yes, absolutely. Actually, that's a very big use case of that, and thank you for highlighting that.
And so my hope with the leadership team is that we're looking at, what questions were asked that we were not able to populate and answer for. But in addition to that, and I know, for example, and I don't know if we're also putting contracts in here because we have different unions across the district. So if I'm an employee and I ask a question that, excuse me, contractually doesn't apply to me, but it's in there, how to differentiate.
Yeah, so that's different user sets, right? So the teachers, based on the different types of employees you have, they will have access to only certain type of content. So we can differentiate that. Principals will have access to evaluation frameworks, many things that teachers don't have access to, and vice versa. District leaders will have different, board members can have different. So all, like paras, if you use it for them, will have different. So great question. Documents will be sectioned based on the employee who's asking the question.
And then based on that, we would then be able to know based on the type of question being asked, what type of employee asked the question.
Not the cohort of employee, not the specific employee.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. But
Yes,
we could narrow it down to if it was
You
an
will know
admin
that
versus a teacher.
Most of your principals are asking these questions. Most of your math teachers are asking. Most of your one-year teachers. And we can make those cohorts based on what is important to you and the district. Every district wants to see data in different ways.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Welcome. Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Okay, so that leads to something I was just wanting to know, but you gave me something else. First, I'll go to that one since it's connected. So you said you can create the different cohorts for us.
Based on how you want it to be. Right now, we've created it by school, by content, by grade, and by number of years of experience of the employee. Because you'll see newer employees have very different types of help that they need than veteran employees who've been here. That's how we've created it today, and by date. Like, what kind of questions and guidance are people asking for in August versus over spring break versus something else? So it gives you that analysis of how the support is needed in what way. So yes, right now that's how we've built it, but if your district wants it to be in a different way, before start of next school year, we can absolutely do that.
Okay, so in that vein then, in a way I could kind of see who a person was that asked the question.
No.
So
you can just see the group of.
right, so I mean, so if I have principal group and the years of experience is 2, and I have 2 principals in the building, and one has been there 2 years and one has been there 20, now I know who asked this question.
So then we can remove that, right? And that's the conversation that we need.
Oh,
to
no,
have.
no. I think that's a
actually
different
great
thing.
point. No, that's actually a great point, right? When your cohort of, when your sample size and your denominator of people is very high, then it's a big group. But that's feedback that we want from the district, so we can customize it to what is important to you. We don't want to bring you something and say, hey, take it. And that's where the time is taken to build it and customize it for Dayton.
No, so for me, I'm not even really against always knowing, because I think the fear of people wanting to not know or be anonymous and things, it comes from a culture that I don't want to be here anyway. Like, I don't want that kind of culture to be here. I want somebody to be able to walk into a room, ask any question, and feel like, hey, I'm okay. I'm going to be safe here. This is just a question I have. But I just wanted to think that because the more I think of breaking things down, I do like the idea of having it to where, let me see if teachers who have been here across the district, and maybe that's something the district want to do, is like have the experience bandwidth not be a building cohort question, but a district cohort of people across the district. That's a whole nother question for those folks.
I think it's a choice that
Yes,
your team will have to make. And if that's needed, I could do that. If you feel the privacy needs to be there, like her, I could do that. It's just something that we're hearing. But anything is possible.
So then my second question is, and you spoke on it, what are the guardrails, or are the guardrails set by the district of things that we want to get flagged?
So the guardrails are set in collaboration with the district. Like I said, Florida guardrails are going to be very different from Ohio, very different from California. Within districts, they are very different. So in collaboration with the district leaders, we sit and ask them what is important so that that guardrail, when it comes to guardrails, I'm always on the side of being more cautious than less cautious, because we have to learn from what it is. So sometimes Hasty will just hit a guardrail on a basic thing, and that's okay, because then we learn that, hey, this was not a guardrail. That is why the employees can give a thumbs up, thumbs down, the leaders who are using it, so we can learn what it is or not. But yes, it's done in collaboration with the district leaders.
Appreciate that. And then I think this, for my team, because the team, they work here. They're big people. But for us as a board, I think that's you, Dr. Goodwin, on Technology Committee. Yes. I think that would be definitely something to take back to that committee and really look at not only this, but some of the other things. And we talk about what those guardrails and striations of people would be. But appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Promise that's all I got, Mr. Lacy.
Dr. Goodwine.
I hope that the information we pull from here, like these type guiding questions after we have more times, I'm not sure what goes into our employee orientation or if we even do refreshers on existing employees. But if this is a reoccurring thing that our teams do something with it so that it's not like just out here waiting. So that's it, just my request to you guys.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you for your
Barnwell.
questions. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Now, do we have any bargaining units that wish to speak to the board? Seeing none, Madam Treasurer, do we have, could you call out the first person to speak to the public in the hearing of the public?
Dr. Slaus.
Dr. Sloss. Can we hear the next person?
Rachel Carlet. Rachel. Okay. Ms. Davis.
I thought that was you. I'm about to say.
Dr.
Okay.
Dr. Davis, you have something you want to say?
Okay. Jason Balwick.
She'll ask it on Hayseed now.
Okay. Jackson Dickerson.
Okay.
Okay. That one.
As you're coming, I lost it. Can you speak? Can you speak in just 3 minutes?
I'll try.
And state your name and your address. And what else do you need to do?
appropriate to talk about anything related to any bargaining units?
Right.
Any of those things?
To address any matter involving pending disputes, grievances under a labor agreement, disciplinary action of an employee or a student, ongoing labor negotiations, concerns, or matters that have already been settled, and or any matter which, because of its nature, deemed appropriate to be discussed in an executive session. Go right ahead.
Before you start, I just, I'm just curious, did you want to talk publicly or to the board?
I just wanted to share a few things, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So good evening, members of Dayton Public School District Board, the Dayton Public School District Senior Administrators, and the Dayton community. Special thanks to Lisa Miner for inviting me to speak today. My name is Jackson Dickman, and I work at Wright Brothers Middle School as a current educator in our district. I would like to take a moment to share a collection of remarkable moments I've noticed in our district, and I would like to call them unnoticed moments. Sometimes these most meaningful moments are the only things that I've seen that have gone unnoticed but are quite remarkable from the dedicated educators and professionals in our district. The first moment I would like to recognize are the extraordinary staff members from various schools who work in our school district that travel far and wide. Working in this district for just about 2 years now, I've come to learn that there are individuals that travel far from Lima, Ohio, from Indianapolis, Indiana, or Columbus, Ohio. So I just wanted to share that it is something remarkable that we got dedicated educators to work in our districts because they value the mission and the passion for our students here. The second moment I would like to highlight is the remarkable work happening in the classrooms themselves. The work that deserves to celebrate beyond the walls of the building where it takes place. I attended a training at Belmont, the Freshman Academy, and I saw great work they did. I also saw great work that the science coordinator, Kurtz Miller, has highlighted in his monthly science reports of multi-anchor charts. I took those inspirations to bring it to Wright Brothers and ran a PD session for the colleagues that I have at Wright Brothers. So it was really inspiring to see those different things to bring them to Wright Brothers and enact, creating a ripple effect for change. The third moment I would like to focus on is the fascinating work led by the CT administrators, Matthew Fulper, Dr. Christina Harsh, and Christina Willoughby, particularly at the middle school level. Their leadership has opened new doors for the middle school students. Recently, the medical detective program at Wright Brothers worked diligently and a certification in the medical pathway. I am also been working a little bit on engineering certifications for AutoCAD in my own program, so I thought that was very awesome. The last moment I'd like to recognize is the incredible efforts of the Wright Brother Middle School business teacher, Jamie Nowak. She has brought many industry partners to talk to our students, ranging from pilots to comedians, to talk with our students and engage in meaningful dialogue. One of the best things I like about those is that it's kind of a presentation style, and then the students at the end have a Q&A, and it's really interesting and fascinating to see these cool students' curiosities in these different areas that she brings.
Oh, that's 3 minutes.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't hear your name.
Jackson Dickman.
Thank you, Mr. Dickman.
Thank you.
Madam Treasurer, is that all?
Yes.
Then,
Lacey, I forgot something. I slide something in real quick.
well, you are up, but you have the floor.
There it is. I have the floor. Dr. Jones, would you mind coming up? We have a special quick recognition.
You break it, you buy it.
Thank you, Vice President Joe Lacey, to other members of the board. Dr. Lawrence, thank you. On behalf of the Southwest Ohio Athletic Directors Association, SWODA, it is our honor to announce Mr. Jesse Watts was the recipient of the Middle School Athletic Director of the Year. Presented to a middle school 7-8 athletic director in recognition of service, leadership, and involvement with interscholastic athletics at the local and district levels. The recipient of this award must be assigned the leadership of a grade 7-8 athletic program as their primary responsibility. ADs who serve as high school AD and 7-8 are not eligible for this award. This is an award that directly reflects the hard work Jesse puts into his position, representing not only Dayton Public Schools, but also the respect that the athletic directors of the Southwest District of Ohio hold for him.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, Chief Jones, for giving me this opportunity to give back to the community that I grew up in. And thank you for the hard work that y'all put in for the board and athletics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Vice President Lacy, I'd like
ahead.
to make a recommendation that the board take my appointments B through G.
So move.
Moved by Mr. Walker. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Goodwine. Do we have any discussion?
Yes, on
Dr. Goodwine?
On
Huh?
B4, it's network engineer, the location says from Ludlow to Ludlow. We have positions for IT in Ludlow.
Great question. I did some research, and all of our IT staff is under Ludlow. There isn't like a PCN, position control number for the IT staff.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Hearing none.
President. Oh, he's
Go
not
ahead with
here.
the roll call.
Okay. Dr. Goodwine,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes?
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Ms. Woods,
Yes.
6 yeses.
That motion passes.
I
You're
rec-
next. Go.
My next recommendation, I recommend the approval of my HR Resources DEA after July 10th.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Walker, second by, moved by Mr. Walker, second by Dr. Goodwine. Excuse me. Do we have any discussion?
One of these days.
Dr. Goodwine,
No.
Mr. Lacy,
No?
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
No.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Ms. Woods.
Yes.
3 noes, 3 yeses.
Motion does not, motion fails due to having, it needs 4 board members. Go ahead, Superintendent.
I'd like to ask the board to take a look at the budget information. If there are any questions we can't answer today, we will send them via email, and if not, we can also take those in the budget committee that I think is in good standing, Mr. Lacy. Or Finance Committee.
Are there any questions about the budget information? Hearing none. Oh, is there? No. Go ahead, Dr. Lawrence.
I would ask that for a vote, consultant services and agreements, I would make a note that there's one new consultant agreement, Quiver Ed, for consultant services for K-8 music. This is just an extension of what we agreed to do in our academic action plan in terms of music and arts extensions in all the K-8 elementaries. There's no charge, it's Title II. And then I think there is on contracts, I think there is 2 Dayton Convention Center rental agreement for the Athletic Hall of Fame, and DataWorks HR personnel management, which we're entering into a 2-year contract, which includes maintenance and support for data and upgrades.
I make a motion to accept superintendents A through C.
Thank you.
I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Walker, second by Dr. Goodwin. Is there any discussion?
Okay.
Hearing no discussion, can we have a roll call?
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes?
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Ms. Woods.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Motion passes.
I'd like the board to pay attention to or take notice of my recommendation for review for the bell schedule for the 26-27 school year for review. So it's up for public notice. We'll have it on the website for public comment. And I also will bring it up at the March 23rd reconfiguration meeting. So this is simply for review, and we'll bring it back in April for a vote.
One question, Mr. Lacy.
Can we hear if there are any questions? Yes, Dr. Goodwin.
For individuals to give comments, how do they give them on the website? If it's, or is it just on there? Is there a link or something for them to click on?
I would do it, mostly what they do is they send it directly to PIO, but we can make a link though.
I couldn't find a chat box when I was on here today, so
Okay.
I just want to make sure that,
Yeah.
and even at the reconfiguration, if
Well-
we could have something written for them to give you guys comments on, and people taking notes, that would be just great. That way, if people have something to say, this is your opportunity.
You got it. I think, yeah, I'll give it to Alex Kincaid. I'll make sure it's forward facing and that you can go straight to that.
And
Because we're already getting questions.
One final, have we polled or talked to our administrators if they had any comments? Since, like, they kind of have a better post on the buildings than most of the people who sit in this room.
That's why we have it out now for them to take a look at it as well. I called 6 of the 7 secondary administrators to ask them about the times that we have. And that room that we put together was a cross-functional, cross-operational team that put this draft schedule together. So, yep, we wanted out there to get some feedback from them.
On
To answer your question, yes.
the primary, is there any actual flexibility in primary?
I would, I'm going to go to one of my teammates, Dr. Benson Taylor or Dr. Jones. You want to come up and talk about the primary
I'm just
and
asking
whether it's
that-
flexibility?
That's where I get the most complaints about our younger scholars going to school at 7 a.m. So if people are giving you guys feedback, just want to know if it's actual flexibility in, if it's overwhelming or something in that piece for that change to be made at that age level.
So I think the issue, good question, by the way. I think the issue is numbers and distribution. I mean, for our elementary students, it is early, right? But I think what is being presented is a more equal distribution of routes in each tier.
So is that a yes or no?
Can you repeat the question for me?
Is there any flexibility, like if individuals who have children in the 7 a.m. bracket, if they come out in a overwhelming number of individuals to provide feedback on it, do we actually even have the ability to make an adjustment based on that? I just don't want people to waste their time for something that we can't do anything about.
Right. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tight.
So is that
So
a yes or no?
I would say no.
Okay, so there's actually no feedback on that time. All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Ms. Woods?
My question was, what's the actual change? Because maybe I'm just looking at high school, because I don't remember what time I went to school in middle school, but what's the actual time change? Like, who's actually changing time?
So the tiers are the same, but the schools in the tiers are the same. There've been some changes from the first tier schools, a couple that were in the first tier, then in the third, and then in reverse, going from third to first. That second tier is already packed, so it's pretty tight. So we didn't make many changes there. And then the high schools, your high school has been changed to 8:15 because there's a bus that gets off right after 8 o'clock that creates about 50 or 60 tardy people at your school every day. So we changed the time to 8:15, as well as some other schools, so that they can be at Ponitz and not be tardy. And we're experimenting to see if this 15-minute gap changes the number of students that are downtown at the hub for next year for the 26-27 school year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I add a little bit to that?
Go ahead.
Charter schools are required to give us their bell schedules April 1st. Also, I wanted to shed some light on a bill, Desiree Timms, House Bill 545, which will provide more funding to transportation departments. And the even powerful component of that legislation is that we would go in good faith and have conversations with the charters and the parochials to determine what their bell schedules were. But if they didn't accommodate us, we would not be in a position of negotiating. For years, we've had to negotiate with charter schools about start times. And so if you're watching, watch that bill and support that bill.
You actually went up to Columbus to talk with her, correct? Mm-hmm.
Mr. Smith.
Okay. Got like 3 of them. So with the high school, especially like Ponitz at 8:15, what happens then if the RTA just changes their bus routes and bus schedules like they've done in the past? Like, we've had to deal with bus routes moving, bus times changing. Like, we aren't in control of what they can do. So, I mean, just moving that because they currently have a bus that drops them off late, I don't see anything that stops them from coming back and saying, let's move this bus and have it come at 8:45 instead. So I think, like, us moving things to deal with the situation that we have no control over is just guesswork. And I think for me, then, knowing the way buses move and the way that has gone, I don't know if, and I don't know how much flexibility we have in that with, staff and how they have to be. I don't know how much 15 minutes will actually change the number of people that are downtown, because we also do not control those bus routes. And then also the way that the buses move and the time in between, like, we don't control that piece. So I mean, that is a small window when there are certain buses that only run every 30 minutes or every hour. So creating a 15-minute block where it would not have other kids down there does nothing if the bus that they're waiting to transfer from only comes once an hour. So I think if it's one of those, it sounds good, but I don't know how good it is in practice, because when I was in school, we had way more buses, so buses ran at a more constant schedule. Some of these buses, in some times of the year, certain times of the day, they really run once an hour or once every 45 minutes. So taking a kid 15 minutes off of that, you're just going to stagger the same group being down there. So I think I would want us to look more into having a conversation with RTA and really looking at what that long-term plan looks like for them as well, because I wouldn't want us to do something and what'll happen is the news will say DPS plans to do this to stop as many kids from being downtown, and then somebody gets downtown and goes, no, it's the same amount of kids that are downtown, and then it's egg on our face for something that we don't control in the first place. That is my thought on that.
Thank you. Dr. Goodwin?
Dr. Jones, if you could just explain one more time, because I'm going to get this email and these questions, why the 7 o'clock elementaries can't be in the 8 a.m. tier and the the secondary schools can't be the 7 a.m. tier? If you could just explain for the people at home why they don't have any option after 7 o'clock, that would be great.
So, Dr. Goodwin, are you saying to make all of our schools 8 to 3 or 9 to 4, and then secondary as a 7 to 2?
No, I think she's saying
I'm saying-
swap, you could swap.
I'm saying explain why the secondary, which most of those schools we don't provide transportation to at all, are in the 8 o'clock one, and the 7 a.m. one are the elementary ones. Because again, the ongoing complaint from many parents has been why their scholars have to be at school so early in that piece. So I kind of know the reason, but I want someone to explain it so those individuals know the rationale or what you guys can or can't do, and it's on the record.
So you're talking about a swap between tier 1 and tier 2?
Yes.
Elementary and high school. Historically, it's been because of after-school activities, athletics. That plays a huge role in that. A lot of high schools started at second tier.
Okay.
And then having transportation available afterwards as well.
Okay, go ahead and explain. I want to hear your logic on that. Because they would have more time after school if they were in tier 1. I didn't think that was the reason that you was going to give me, but that's the one.
Charter school routes or whatever you said.
I'm saying like.
Tier 2 is also charter school heavy as well.
Explain that part for individuals.
Okay, so in tier 2, right now, a lot of the charter schools have identified 8 to 3 or 8:15 to 3:15 as their start and end time.
And tell them what that means for us. Because people need to know, like, why would we get bumped from a time just because another school is starting at that time? That's kind of what I want you to explain to the public.
Okay, so we have to provide by law transportation for parochial schools, charter schools, and of course our own students as well in DPS. And what happens is when we are late to parochial or charters, then we run the risk of being fined. Last year, I believe that we amassed fines of up to $1 million.
Okay, and how do they get the 8 o'clock slot over us? Like, what if we wanted the 8 o'clock slot? Why can't we have that? It's kind of my question for you to explain to the public. Or can we have the 8 o'clock slot and we just choose the 7?
It really boils down to what is the most efficient way to get each group of students to their respective schools.
So we could have the 8 o'clock time, is what you're saying, if it was the most efficient way for us. I mean, I thought it was a different thing, but go ahead.
Currently, unless Representative Tim's bill gets through and becomes part of the law, we can't have the 8 o'clock because the charter schools have, in quotes, first dibs on making their selection. They're sending us their selections right now, and we have to abide by that. And that's what creates the total logjam because they pick the most preferred slots, and then we have to take the leftovers.
Okay. I just want people to understand, like, that's why we can't get that slot for you, if that's the thing. But I don't know, talking to you, it kind of sounded like it was something different. So I was like, oh, well, maybe the rules have changed in the years. And that's what I'm trying to get that on the record.
That's
so
what
people
she's
know.
trying to change.
Okay. I misunderstood.
Oh, yeah, no, that's it. I just want people to know why we don't have the option at 8 o'clock for our younger individuals, and it's not because we don't want it. It's, your hands are tied a little bit.
By state law.
By state, correct.
Right, and that's why, efficiency is, the king, so.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Then the international school at Residence Park, K through 8th, begins at 7. And are we continuing the international school 9 through 12?
We are not continuing the international school 9 through 12.
Okay. And was there consideration of the schools that have like after-school programs, like I'm I don't know. I don't know that.
Miracle Makers.
Yeah,
Yes.
things like that.
That is typically one of the first considerations.
Okay.
Ruskin is typically always on the first tier because of Miracle Makers. I want to say Fairview is typically on the first tier. I have to look again because of Omega CDC. So that's part. I wasn't in the room during that time, but that is typically part of the conversation.
Okay. So you're not aware of any like big changes for those schools that have?
No, and if we haven't, we're going to share it with our partners too and have
Understood.
a conversation. I know that Ms. Minor has regular conversations with them. She's shaking her head with Omega CDC about everything from reconfiguration to transportation.
Thank you.
And after-school services.
Ms. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Dr. Lawrence, when is your ask that this be voted on? Is it at the April review meeting or the April business meeting?
The April review meeting.
Thank you. That is all.
That concludes my recommendations.
Nope.
Oh, say staff travel. Oh, you know what? Yes, I do have another recommendation. Thank you so much, Dr. Goodwine. Staff travel for a vote.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Goodwine, seconded by Ms. Reinhardt. Is there any discussion? Mr. Smith.
Yes, in looking at this, with the travel, one of the people that is on there would not currently be an employee, but we voted to pay extra days. Would this be part of those days that we're talking about?
HR rep. Oh, Dr. Lowry. I'm sorry, I was looking at something, Mr. Smith. What'd you say?
So,
You were asking me about why Dr. Lowry's on there and what are the
With
parameters of that?
right, would that be, since we voted to pay for Dr. Lowry to do work before the July 1st date, is this part of those days?
Yes, those are part of her 15 days.
All right.
Thank you for the question.
No other questions?
This is not general fund money, but it's ESC money.
Title 2A.
I thought last week it was ESC.
It was title two. No.
Somebody said ESC. That's why I'm confused.
Do you know who it was?
Your team. That was.
Somebody from my team in the audience spoke and said ESC?
You know what? We can go through it. I'll go through my notes. But I think that was, yeah.
It wasn't me, because I know William Smith asked a follow-up immediately about Title II. And then I think we responded via email too. I'll double check.
Can we vote on?
Go ahead, what's
Smith,
say,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Lacy? No, I was gonna let Mr. Lacy go.
Oh, then can we vote on this?
Dr. Goodwine.
I thought you were asking a question.
Oh, no.
I
Okay,
had
I'm sorry.
I had another
Mr. Smith.
question. So, my question is, if we're using Title II funding, technically, Title II funding, by definition, is really about recruiting, hiring, retaining teachers, supporting school leaders at the building level, and professional development. So then why would we be using this for a retreat if there's no people at the building level going?
Professional development isn't just for people at the building level, it's for senior level staff as well. So that's my response.
But that's not what the definition of Title II is. Title IIA, like how much are we using the title? Like, if you could provide a breakdown of where we're using that Title IIA funding at the building level. Because for me, then it would make me go, then why can't we find somewhere closer to do a retreat? If we're talking about how are we spending money, then is there a way, like, Yes, that is my question, and I don't have to get it today, but I would want to see, like, what is the plan of how we want to start spending these things? Because on paper, it opens the question of there's ways for us to do this and not spend as much money as well, or use the money and spread it out in different ways as well. But that is all.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Are there any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call.
President, no. Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Abstain.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
No.
Ms. Woods,
Yes.
4 yeses, 1 abstain, 1 no.
Motion passes. Ms., do you have
That
anything
does
else?
conclude my recommendations.
Thank you. Madam Treasurer.
I recommend the approval of the following A to I as reviewed last week.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Goodwine, second by Mr. Walker. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll ask for a vote.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Ms. Woods,
Yes.
6 yeses.
Motion passes. Does that conclude your recommendations?
Yes.
Mr. Business Manager, do you have any recommendations for the board?
Yes, sir. I only have two. I recommend ratification of the following two contracts with the City of Kettering and Triple J Snack Services.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Goodwine, seconded by Ms. Reinhardt. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Ms. Woods,
Yes.
6 yeses.
Motion passes. New business.
In so much as the Board of Education of the Dayton City, actually, you know what? Wrong thing. In so much as Board of Education is committed to the continuing updating of its policies, rules, and regulations and manual, and the committee which was appointed by the working towards that goal, the following is brought at this time for second reading in compliance with Board File. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies that have been codified for inclusion in the handbook of policies, rules, and regulations. I move that we adopt policy DGH, DGI, EDDE, JEB, JEBA.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Goodwine, seconded by Mr. Walker. Is there any discussion? Ms. Reinhardt.
Thank you, Vice President Lacy. I just want to point out, there are two policies that are up, JEB and JEBA. I just want to point out, this is due to, it's revised to align with legislation. And the conversation we had in Policy Committee was really interesting. This piece of legislation that was passed creates a lot of confusion. I think the intent of it was to simplify the entrance age for kindergarten, but the way it was written was really, really frustrating. And I just want to point out that it's another piece of legislation from the State House that went through without a lot of thought and input from our administrative and academic leaders. And it's incredibly frustrating to have to deal with and try to figure out how to follow the policy while still making the process, the enrollment process for Dayton Public as easy as possible for families to navigate. And it was just I just want to say it was a really frustrating conversation, and we're doing our best to abide by this new piece of legislation. That is all that I have.
Anyone else?
Just a clarifying question. So, Dr. Lawrence, if a child is not 5 years old by the first day of school, then they cannot enroll in kindergarten until the very next year?
That's correct.
Got it. Okay.
Anyone else? Seeing none, may we have a roll call?
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Ms. Woods.
Yes.
6 yeses.
Motion passes. Moving on to board member comments. Ms. Woods, would you have anything to enlighten us with?
I have no comments today.
Ms. Reinhardt?
Thank you, Vice President Lacy. I have a couple things. The first is I would like to thank the district members who came out to the spring conference and were there when I received my Master Board Member recognition. It was really nice to have district support there. I really appreciate that. That's a personal thank you. We've had a number of committees, and I have a number of updates for you. The first is we had the Community Engagement Committee. We had a really good conversation, and I bounced some of the things that came from that committee conversation to Dr. Lawrence. The biggest one is with this reconfiguration to the district, how are we using this opportunity to gather input and engagement from families, and the opportunity we have in resetting some of these schools to support and reinvigorate and re-engage parents in the PTOs. PTOs in our schools, this has been something that I've cared about for a very, very long time. I was a PTO mom before I was ever a board member, and it's completely on the backs of parents and volunteers. This has to be separate from the district. This is not something we can do. This is something that is parent and volunteer and grandparent and guardian driven. We support as best we can in the district, and I'm grateful for every single volunteer in every single school that does that. But it means in middle schools, families only have their kids prior to the reconfiguration in these schools for 2 years. It's a lot more difficult to build a community, and things kind of taper off middle school and high school as well too. So I'm grateful for Dr. Lawrence for making sure that we figure out who in the district is responsible for supporting the work of PTOs and the parent volunteers outside that. And I'm looking forward to those conversations, Dr. Lawrence, and seeing how we can support the work of parent volunteers and the communities that are built inside each district, each building. I today went up to Columbus. We had a Vouchers Heard Ohio Steering Committee meeting, and I am on the steering committee. This is the lawsuit that is suing the state of Ohio. There's a coalition, and Dayton is one of the plaintiffs over the expansion of EdChoice vouchers. We had a really good steering committee meeting today. Last week, we had our first federal legislative advocacy group meeting to prepare for our visit to DC in September. And I will update the board and the district as we get closer to that on some of the legislative platform and the work that we're doing to prepare for that and afterwards. I attended a few weeks ago my first Black Caucus meeting. I have a legislative update for you. So there are a number of pieces of legislation that are relevant to public education. I wanted to run through them. It was really great. The update that I got from OSBA, where the lobbyist said, I'm really excited because there's some really good pieces of education legislation on the docket right now, which is not something we hear all the time. House Bill 454 is in the Senate Education Committee as of last week, and it's basically an omnibus education bill. There's a lot of deregulations, basically a lot of cleanup that needs to happen to district administration is happening here, and good cleanup and necessary cleanup, and we're grateful for all the legislators that are working on that. There are some graduation requirements that are being changed for IEP students, and they're going to change the way that board vacancies on school boards happen to give us a little bit more time if there's ever a board vacancy. Senate Bill 19 is the math instruction bill, and this is really interesting. The State House is trying to do something with math instruction to kind of copy what we did with the science of reading a few years ago. The science of reading, this is the difference there is science of reading was an established academic piece of study that really showed what works best for teaching kids how to read. The math, it's not quite the same. The desire and the intent there is to really provide high quality math instruction for our students and to make sure that it is standardized across the state, but it doesn't follow the same research as the science of reading does. But I am on board for anything we can do to improve math achievement. House Bill 661 is an interesting bill. This is the name, image, likeness bill for high school students. I was in the House Education Committee meeting for this one, and I was not planning on staying in the meeting very long, but the conversation about NIL made me stay there. And then, funnily enough, a few days later, I was in a meeting, and the OSBA president for this year, Mary Cleveland, told of an experience. She is in the Princeton City Schools. Princeton City Schools is one of the schools that actually has a student that could benefit very well financially from name, image, likeness. And I was not in favor. So this bill would ban name, image, likeness possibilities for high school students, and I'm in support of this bill. But I wanted to share this anecdote that Mary Cleveland shared with this group, and it really illustrates what my concerns about this. There's a student in Princeton City Schools who is a very, very good athlete and brings a lot of attention to the games. The district has to have games at Xavier University because the attendance at the games is so big. Logistically, it's very difficult for the district to figure out how to accommodate the crowds that watch the students' games. But she said that the way that the other students, not this high-achieving athlete, acted, but what it did to other kids that were playing, because everybody wants to be the student that did better than this high-achieving kid, right? Everybody wants to be the student who outplayed them, even on his own team. She said she had never seen such a hostile game before. And it was entirely because of the attention, the spotlight that was on the student. And she was appalled at what it did to what should be teaching our kids how to. The goal of athletics, particularly student K-12 athletics, the goal is not always to win. The goal is to teach sportsmanship and cooperation, to better your social skills, to understand sometimes that you're working with a group. There's so much more than, am I gonna win or am I gonna lose? It's so much bigger than that. And I am really, really, really worried for what the possibility of name, image, likeness could be for our high school students, for students who can't even legally sign a contract themselves because they're not even 18. So I'm in support of House Bill 661 because I don't think this is something that should be opened up to our high school students. That's me personally, just so you know. House Bill 671 is a bill that would, I'm not going to talk about that right now. Apologies. I want to, since I'm running short on time, I want to call to attention two Senate bills that were brought to the floor, or were presented by our state Senate, our state senator, Senator Blackshear. And I had a good conversation with him about these as well, too. Senate Bill 330, which would establish a mental health day excuse for students. This is something I do as a parent for my kids already, but it would give students the ability to have this be an excused absence. And then Senate Bill 333 would establish a student youth council across the state. If there's anybody watching who wants more information about this, these are great bills. Please contact Senator Blackshear if you have any more questions, or let me know if you have any questions about those. But I wanted to thank the senator for those. And that is all I have. Thank you for letting me take the time. Vice
Thank
President.
you. Mr. Walker.
No comments.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Smith.
Yes. First, I just want to say thank you once again to everybody in the district. I do want to lift up our maintenance workers because this month, March 6th, was Maintenance Worker Appreciation Day. So I want to just say thank you to everybody that keeps this place going and all of the things that they do. Also, yesterday was National Social Worker Day, and National School Social Worker Week is in the month of March. So with that, I just want to also lift up the people that do that work and stand in a great need. Just seeing the conversation that we had last week with our visitors and about the different situations our students come to schools with. Just want to say I really, really, really appreciate that. I am glad that House Bill 661 was brought up because I do want to say that I am strongly against it. Ohio is one of the few states in the nation that does not have NIL for its high school athletes. It also is not a situation where it has corrupted the sports to a level that we have not already seen sports be played in our state. And so to me, I am against the fact that lawmakers want to ban students from being able to profit off of name, image, and likeness, but state people have not done anything to deal with the inequities that happen in athletics for public schools at all. So, for instance, a student can transfer out of here, go to a private school. Student comes from a school, public school, go to here. The transfer rules are different for students transferring into public schools. In other charter schools, if a charter school does not have a sport, they can go play at a public school. If a public school does not have a sport, so if we do not have a certain sport at one of our schools, that means our students are just out of luck and they cannot participate whatsoever. So while the state is looking at trying to ban people from benefiting on their God-given talents and abilities, which also one of the things I want to bring up is that young ladies have been one of the biggest beneficiaries of NIL across the nation, from getting cross-country sponsorships to our runners and swimmers are really benefiting at this level. And it's also been one of the motivators to put women's athletics at the college levels across the board. So while our state is doing this, they're lacking the foresight of what it does. Even the player who was mentioned that is at Princeton High School, he's only in Ohio because of the fact that the state changed the NIL rules. This was a student who wasn't even in the state of Ohio. So now we're talking about people, if they're in a border city, or be frankly, we had a child here who was just in the Dayton area who transferred out of the whole area. And so we're looking at the state finding more ways to penalize children instead of looking at ways to create equity. And I hear my colleague on the anecdote from Princeton, but I'm also a kid who grew up and saw LeBron James play in Ohio before there was any NIL, and they had to move all their games. I saw O.J. Mayo in Cincinnati, they moved their games. The city of Dayton used to have our games at UD Arena because they couldn't fit in our gyms. And some of the times we still are thinking about where do we play games because we can't fit them in there. And all of that has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. We have a district where we've gotten paid because we have Welcome Stadium, and our stadium is big enough to take on games that other schools can't play, which brings extra resources and revenue to our district, and that has nothing to do with name, image, and likeness. So my question for people is to really take a look at what people are doing for education and against education, because right now, the things that come out around athletics in the state of Ohio, one, are arcane and backwards because we're really moving it forward where the states all around us are offering something that our states aren't, that our state isn't. And so it creates this system where that imbalance, not to mention, like I said before, there is a great and gross inequity with the way we have to do sports. And if you want to talk to Ms. Jones at some point, she has to deal with all the time because our public schools are constantly put behind the 8 ball, where the same state that is trying to push away NIL is the same state that said if Stivers doesn't have a football team, nobody at Stivers can play anywhere else. But if a kid goes to Horizon and they don't have a football team, then we have to pay for that child to play football here. If a kid goes to a private school and they do not have it, then they're allowed to go to a public school. Whereas we are not able to do those things, and sometimes we find ourselves trying to stretch our resources then to provide for children because the state laws and regulations set forth for us are placing our public schools at a disadvantage. Sorry for taking so much time, but appreciate all of you guys, and let's keep the main thing the main thing. Thank you, Mr. Lacy.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Dr. Goodwine.
Thank you. So first, I'm going to start with where my close-up on my camera. Here we go. I just got this flyer. I think it's a really cool thing. Tackle about literacy, because reading is a great thing. Everyone should read a book every week, and we should always talk about what books we're reading to encourage more people to read, because reading and writing are gateways to being really successful as scholars. And I say that to tell you, right now, I am reading book 2 of A Gathering of Shadows, V.E. Schwab. I don't know if I could tell you guys to check it out or not. I just started it. It may or may not be good. I'll come back to you next week. But I started the series, so I need to see where the story goes. I want to highlight the Math Olympics that happened this weekend. I did get a chance to go there and check it out. It was really great to see our younger scholars just out here excited about it. Shout out to us being able to invite another district in. I think that was awesome. I mean, they came and they took a couple first place and a third place, but you know, we're gonna come back. So thank you for making that happen. The Jefferson Township local school districts did participate in our Math Olympics, and it was really good to see them be able to be a part of that. Everything from the display, from the whole afternoon, even I think the Project Life gave out little snack bags with fresh fruit and vegetables in it. It was just an all-out good event, and excited for that to happen. Tomorrow is the final round of the regular season of debate. It is from 5 to 6 p.m. Actually, you should come, not if you want to come. You should come out and spend 1 hour. It's really going to be like 45 minutes, and check out some of the middle school and high school debate teams. All of them are going tomorrow, and this is the last round of regular season. The Customer Service Committee has met, and we have finished the customer service standards, which we have been working on for 2 years. We are excited that we are going to be rolling that out to our district leadership in June, as they will be the first group to go through that training. The Technology and Steering Committee has a lot going on right now. We are finalizing up some stuff in our AI policy, which we saw last week, and we have a couple of other policies that are coming our way. And Mr. Smith just threw something else at us, so good stuff. School and programming and curriculum, we are scheduled to meet this week. We have been actively moving now that we are through the what's it called?
Reconfiguration.
The reconfiguration. Now that we are through that, we are now moving on to looking at curriculum and some other things. One of the great things that came out of last week's speaker was actually getting feedback from the actual users of the curriculum. So we will be scheduling a in-person conversation where I invite every teacher, any person in the district who utilizes the curriculum to come and be a part of the discussion, so we can hear your feedback on it, and we can not make assumptions of how you feel about it. The date will, actually, did we come up with a date, Chief Sheehy? We guessed to get a date. It's gonna be in April. By the end of this week, we will have a date and location confirmed. So if you are an educator, tell your fellow educators, we want you there. We want your feedback, and we want to know what's going on. Let's see, the athletic committee, today we did approve a location for our Hall of Fame. We will have more information. We did solidify the first class. We're going to do a really good job of rolling that out. We're excited to bring in what will be the district's first Hall of Fame class, and I think we got some really good candidates, our nominees that are gonna move on now. So we're excited that we are almost at the end of doing the first celebration. Let's see. On a personal note, I want you guys to know that I am almost done. I am a month away from being done with my classes for my CTC license. And now I have that information to share, and I'm hopeful to get other individuals to go through that program as well. One of the good things about being in the program, actually my professor was very excited that I am at Dayton Public Schools. Although I am not an employee, I didn't realize that I was the only person from an urban institution in the class, so we have significantly different experiences. So I'm excited to connect the College of Rio Grande with Dayton Public Schools, because they do have teachers who we can potentially bring into our organization. Now, I feel good about that. I do want to make a note on the NLI, just on a different perspective that both of my colleagues shared from a training that I got when I went to the athletic conference for the year. And it's kind of on a smaller scale of it. Some of the anecdotal stories that were told were not necessarily about large or like the star athletes, but they were told about local home heroes, like the kid that was able to be the individual or got an NLI deal for the local beauty shop, or for the local shoe shop or the local sandwich and things like that, and how it was a good piece for their organizations because it gave hometown pride in that piece of it for individuals to be able to see those pieces. I do support NLI because, I mean, the world has changed significantly in the way we charge people to come watch these children do their sports. But NLI isn't just in sports, because also it was a story, one of the stories they were talking about, like someone in the engineer club who got a sponsorship because they were doing really big things in the program, and that went on, and another, like a law firm wanted to utilize them to sponsor how great it was working with these students. So it's not just limited to athletics, although athletics gets the bulk of it. Any student in our district would be able to benefit from that if they have something that someone finds appealing. And again, these contracts, we're talking about sometimes like $500. We're talking about, I mean, just enough in that part to put, actually the law firm they needed a social media ambassador. And I just thought it was a funny story that they picked the student there, and it was their social media ambassador, and they gave them $500 for being that individual. So it's just, I don't want us to, I mean, it's a range of opportunities out here, and the reality is we got to this point because a parent in Ohio sued. They started a lawsuit, so that is usually what happens when people disagree with the law. You go do something about it, and you have a split of it, and either the law changes to fit the times we're in, or it doesn't. So I'm excited to see what happens next. I do hope that no matter what comes out of it, that our students are able to benefit throughout the district, not just in athletics, because again, I think that was just a really good story that I got to hear about how non-athletic students were also embracing the NLI piece of that. And my final point here, we are in March, which is, we're almost done with the third quarter of our time together for the 25-26 school year. And I think it's really necessary that as we go into the fourth quarter, that we just remember we are a district, we have a lot going on, we have a lot of competing interests. And when it comes down to it, the only way that things work here is if you guys trust each other's work, if you figure out how to work together, and how we figure out how to move forward in everything we do. I'm excited that I think Friday is the first day of spring. I hope it comes. I mean, I just hope it doesn't keep being winter. This is my least favorite month, or time of the year, but I'm going to hope that not only do we continue to progress as a body, that the many changes that are coming, that you guys are all in on them, because they're happening, and they are more successful when the individuals who have to make these changes occur accept the buy-in and move forward and give feedback when it's appropriate, or when it's necessary, and then when the time is there. So I'm excited to see you guys. We're done this meeting. The sun is still out, so thank you, Vice President Lacy.
Thank you. Ms. Garrison.
In the interest of you guys being able to see the sun that is still out, I will limit my comments. Thank you all for your work. Appreciate everything that you do. Be kind. We have a lot going on in the world from the top leadership on down. So you never know what folks are going through. So just give somebody a smile, a word of encouragement, and let's get it. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you. Vice President Lacy.
Thank you. Business Manager Jones.
Just have a really quick announcement. Our annual All-Star Game is coming up on March the 29th, and it will be held at Belmont. So be on the lookout for more information.
So can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
If we signed the MOU with UD to use UD Arena for it, why don't we use the MOU?
I'm sorry,
If we signed the MOU to use it at UD Arena, why are we not using the MOU? What was the purpose of negotiating that in the MOU?
Mr. Walker, I think that was part of the on-main agreement, and I'll go back and check my notes and check I'll get with Sharice. But during those negotiations, Board Member Smith and Dr. Goodwine were there too. Welcome Stadium, and I think something happened during that negotiations where the All-Star Game option was pulled out. Let me go back and research that and get back with you, okay?
The one that I sent and Ms. Kidd has a record of actually has it still in there that we signed.
Okay.
So I've asked this question every single year, but we don't use it. So this is now my public ask of that same question.
I will work with Dr. Jones to double check that agreement and then ask the University of Dayton why we don't have access to UD Arena. Okay?
I appreciate it.
Okay, no problem.
Treasurer Braha.
Yeah, I have a good thing. This week we received a Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from Association of School Business Officials International. I would like to say thank you to my team, Treasury team, for their dedication and contribution to this one. It wouldn't have done it without their dedication. And also, I would like to thank the board for their help.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Superintendent Lawrence.
Shout out to the Treasurer's Office. We had two really good ones today. Time Clock Plus, thanks for leading that meeting with the principals. Kelly, they're excited about their vacation and being able to roll it over if they don't use it. So we now have got them in line with all the rest of the administrators. We appreciate working with you for that. Also, with our 24 pay, we're going to have a conversation with Central Services tomorrow, and also with all of the collective bargaining agreements. We're going to try to wrap that up tomorrow morning at 9:30. So it's been really good working with you through that space. Louise Troy, shout out to Mr. Ishman, the custodian there. He has his floors are just sparkling, but also they have the best buttered popcorn there. So if you want popcorn, you should go there. Sarah Hamilton has the flu. Sarah, I have all 7 pages of notes that you sent, but I'm not going to read them tonight. Dunbar, Belhaven, I mentioned Louise Troy already. Really good instruction in some of those spaces and a good spirit there. E.J. Brown, Ms. Leiden, I just want to read some feedback that I gave her. I've been in your room twice this month. I've noticed the following: lessons that are well planned and evidenced by the lab preparation, physically standing, engaging in Tier 1 instruction. Today I observed extended response writing prompts to engage in critical thinking regarding molecules and our district-approved science curriculum. And, oh, by the way, your desk is really neat and organized and the materials seem to be available. I hope you stay with DPS as a teacher, continue to do the great work. So we have some really, really good stuff going on out there. Roosevelt, Dr. Sampson, great 3rd grade tour the other day. Lots of teaching, lots of small group instruction, lots of Tier 2, lots of complex interplay between the kids, and I saw homework packets for everybody. And then Dr. Goodwin, I'm glad you mentioned that. I've been meaning to do this for months. We're educators, we should be reading, so thank you for the Other West More. I'm almost done with that. And also I'm reading Original Sins, a Miseducation of Black and Native American Students. And thank you for all the volunteers, the students who participated, central office staff, community folks who came out for Read Across America. That's just a really fun event when we talk about reading. So that's, oh, how could I forget? Shout out to Zella Cottrell. I got your text, I'm gonna return it. Sharice, Monique, and Kim, I'll see you at some point next week. Take care.
Thank you. And as far as my comments, I want to announce we had a finance committee last Thursday and saw everything was in order. I want to tell everybody to enjoy their spring break that's coming up. And you can read your book then, I guess. Also, I want to wish to those that celebrate a blessed Passover, a happy Easter, a holy Eid al-Fitr, a nice vernal equinox.
Yes.
And as a child, I always got candy on St. Joseph's Day. So have a good one. Thank you. And pursuant to section 121.22G2 of the Ohio Revised Code, I move that this board go into executive session. This meeting is being held to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, or compensation of a public employee. That's a motion. Do I have a second? Second by Dr. Goodwine. Yeah, that's okay. You had fun.
You do it every time.
Every time. It never fails.
Is there any discussion? Can we have a roll call?
Dr. Goodwine?
Dr. Goodwine.
Mr.
Mr. Lacy. Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith? Ms. Reiner?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. Garrison?
Yes.
Ms. Woods?
Yes, ma'am.
6 yeses.
Motion passes.
Why was I the only one to stand
What?
up? They gonna say she was ready to go.
Right.